All right, good morning. It's Kinninigan. It only took me about a day. Someone asked me to look into the Arcturians. I did. Got all the information I need. If you could support the channel, I'd appreciate it. I might just do this as a live stream tonight. So if you want to buy me some cigarettes, I think I'm like $5 short from being able to get cigarettes. I'm serious. I didn't have anything come in today, but listen, I'm just going to say this in my defense before. One thing I do not do on my channel at all. I don't mean this in a negative way to anyone who does. I'll tell you why, though. I do not get into channeled messages and reptilian encounters because this is not information I can control. And it's not information that I feel 1,000%. And it also, remember, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And when I'm putting together theories about, I deal with reptilians, not Arcturians, okay? Just so you know. However, I know about every alien race out there, and I have something to say about all of them, including what the Arcturians might be doing here on Earth. I'm going to tell you a little secret. I still might do it. Fuck it. George R. R. Martin's not finishing Game of Thrones. We need some kind of epic science fiction fantasy novel out there, right? I wanted to write a story about Maldek and the Alpha Draconian invasion. I've already thrown this idea up in my head. I worked on a few practice chapters years ago. They're on my old PC. I wrote a chapter about a native Terran named Pondo who was going on a raptor hunt, which was really interesting. Yeah. I have the world of Maldek all thought out in my head in the times of Atlantis. I could write this as a science fiction novel. There wouldn't be any. I even have an idea of what the Atlanteans may look like, the native Terrans, all the species that would have been on Maldek. I already had the idea of a prologue chapter that would start off the story called Blood in the Garden. Sound familiar? Yeah, direct reference to the Garden of Eden. In which an Atlantean, for I'm not going to tell you why, I'm not giving away plot details in my epic sci fi story, but we're just going to say someone on Maldek performs a blood magic ritual and starts allowing these entities to break through. And that's what happens in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, by the way. So this sci-fi story I have in my head is actually based on some real shit. It could be a story. Tell you one thing, ain't no woke writers out there gonna hijack my shit. There are no humans in my story, first of all, so you're not race swapping anyone. Um, I even have an idea of what skin color the Atlanteans might be. So I had this story figured out in my head, and strangely, part of my science fiction story I had in my head involved an Arcturian coming to Maldek and warning the Atlanteans because they are one of the few species in the universe who are not benevolent or malevolent. They're kind of neutral, and that's kind of how the story starts out. I've been studying story structure in fantasy and sci-fi for years now. There's a reason why I'm reading Game of Thrones, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can do this. If I do, I'll keep it a secret. Just like Tolkien kept when he wrote Lord of the Rings, it was a secret until someone found it and published it for him. Someone's God forbid when I pass away one day, someone's going to find my manuscript for the Maldek Fantasy, and they're going to be like, "Holy fucking shit, we got to publish this!" Like this is. I also have some other ideas for science fiction stories based on shit that I've learned from the occult, and who knows? It might be a future in science fiction and fantasy for me. But just um, it's what I do. I can create these worlds in my head. I'm highly creative. I've got the whole entire world of Maldek figured out in my head. All the species that live there, how the native Terrans would have interacted with the Atlanteans, the aquatic races, what the mer people would have looked like. I also even had some other plot devices in there, which would totally knock your fucking socks off if you read my research. Why was I mentioning octopus in the story about the Arcturians the other day, and why octopus only lived to 3 years old? And what is the Black Knight satellite really doing? Because it's a plot device in my book. Not only does my invasion of Maldek involve Alpha Draconians, it might involve another species, some way that they could possibly take over the oceans also. It's already been theorized by mainstream scientists that octopus came to our planet on comets and meteorites. So think about that one. Spiders possibly too. There's other bizarre creatures that definitely have some occult properties to them. But so that's a way that I'm able to, put together a story in my head about what really happened in ancient times. Yeah, I put it together like the science fiction story in my, not really a science fiction story, but I'm able to visualize these abstract concepts. But I don't really get into, like I said, channeled messages, or I'm not insulting anyone who's. I'm not going to sit here and argue with anyone and telling them what they saw and what they didn't see. Everything that I publish and all my theories about Alpha Draconians are based off facts that I find myself. I don't need to have reptilian encounters. I got real reptilians on video. The general portrays the use of Estes. I have native Terrans on video shapeshifting. So I don't get into the encounters. And I do not call them lizard people. Because once you start saying fucking lizard people, I can't take you serious. Just saying. So I got everything I need for this. I can give a lecture about the Arcturians and some of my theories about them. Why aren't the Arcturians helping me? I don't know. Can you drop some fucking gold bars down on my house or something? Jesus. I mean, like, I could use a little help here. I'll help the Arcturians. They gotta come. I might have actually communicated with them before. Who knows? I did DMT once. I communicated with something. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it wasn't an evil species. Might have been them. Um, this Chiboltan glyphs and 1974 Arecibo space message. I have some theories about this too. One of those is legit. One of those I think was copied by the Zeta Reticulans as a mockery. We had two crop circles pop up. I believe the one is authentic. And it may have actually been from the Arcturians. There's also another species on Earth that is supposedly protecting the oceans. It has to go in with Credo Mutwa and dolphins and whales. I think there's a lot more strange shit going on this planet. I tell people all the time, you want to go see aliens? Go watch a documentary about creatures in the deep ocean. Go watch a documentary about octopus. You can't get more fucking alien than cephalopods. Just saying. I think there is some alien origins to them. Why do octopus only live to 3 years old when they don't stop learning and they don't stop growing from when the time they're born? If they lived as long as humans, the whole entire ocean would be full of fucking krakens. If it was, they could easily take over this planet because they would rule the seas. Humans would not be able to go anywhere near the oceans. Think about that one. Octopus can come out of the water for a short time. The idea of Cthulhu rising from the deep and spawning alien hybrids might not be that fucking crazy. Cthulhu might be the entity which the cephalopods are spawned from. Like, we come from primates, obviously. Well, who's to say that there isn't a far superior species when it comes to certain entities like cephalopods? Like, little alien greys, the Archons, are offshoots of the Zeta Reticulans, who are the tall alien whites. So, you understand how the universe works? We have insects on Earth, and then we also have a race of ant-like people known as the ant people from the Hopi Indian. They were shown in the movie Ender's Game. Supposedly, they are related to praying mantis, the mantis beings. They're also in my story about Maldek. I, I need to write this story about Maldek. So, anyway, if I do, yeah, I'm working on a book about reptilians. That's a little harder because when you're writing science fiction or fantasy, one thing I noticed, when you already have the ideas in your head, it just flows on the paper. So, I'm going to sit down and start writing some. I thought about maybe writing some short stories set in the world. George R. R. Martin suggested you don't try writing your epic fantasy as your first writing project. But I could write some short stories set in the world of Maldek. That's what Andrew Sapkowski did with The Witcher. I have the Witcher books. If you know anything about the Witcher books, the first two books are a collection of short stories about the world. Then the third book actually starts the Witcher epic, which I'm going to be reading when I finish Game of Thrones. Anyway, so that's kind of my rant. Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll do this tonight. If not, probably fucking sleeping. I'm not. I don't know. It just gets hard to fucking motivate myself to do anything every morning. I absolutely some. I despise waking up and not having cigarettes. Then it freaks me out when I see all this woke piece of shit garbage on television. I'm like, I could write better shit like this in my fucking sleep. But yeah, maybe there might be a calling in life for someone like me. I told you there's going to be a very big void with creative projects coming out of Hollywood, the video game industry, movies, books. Nobody likes your woke shit. Everyone's rejecting it in mass. A video game came out today, which I'm not buying because I don't have $100 fucking. I don't even have $60 to buy Black Myth Wukong, which is supposed to be a real good game. But that's Star Wars Outlaws. I went to go see Star Wars Return of the Jedi in 1983 with my uncle when I was 6 years old. If anyone wants to play a fucking Star Wars game with Jabba the Hutt in it, it's me. But I am not playing a game where the main antagonist of the video game is supposed to be a girl but looks like a little fucking boy. And that's why people are not buying the new Star Wars game. Because they're finally starting to figure out what this DEI shit was all about. It had nothing to do with fucking women. It's normalizing another disgusting lifestyle that these, yeah. So, and look at House of the Dragon. Some feminist writers got a hold of that. George R. R. Martin doesn't even want to talk about the HBO adaptation anymore because they fucked it up so much from the books. Anyway, thanks to Kalina, I have Fire and Blood on Audible. So I'll be able to actually listen to the real story of Fire and Blood and the Dance of Dragons. And if I ever write a story about Maldek, I'm not expecting anyone to adapt my story for television. Yeah, fuck that. They can't even do it with Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones properly. These people aren't smart enough to do an adaptation, dealing with 20 different alien races all interacting with one another. They couldn't do it. You can't even do a fucking story with humans interacting with each other in a natural way anymore. No, you're more worried about fucking check boxes. And people like me become very frustrated every morning hearing about the millions and billions of dollars you're pissing away on these failed projects. Why people like me got to ask for $5 for a fucking pack of cigarettes. It's getting a little annoying, to say the least, right? What do you think? Would you like to read some short stories from some shit that's going on in my head? Is it science fiction? Maybe. Maybe not. Like I said, I already had things planned out for this book. I already thought of a storyline. I wanted to do this in a kind of POV way that Martin did Game of Thrones, where I would actually put you on POV chapters of different alien species. Yeah, I have the kind of imagination to actually pull that off. Also, I'm just saying. I even had some POV chapters planned where you get to be Marduk. Marduk is the one who sets up Babylon, and the only thing about my epic science fiction plan for a story set in Maldek is when does it end? Because the Alpha Draconian invasion is going on up until this day. Does it end? Do I just do a George R. R. Martin, write 3 fucking books, and say, well, I'm not finishing it? We don't know how the story ends. Yeah, the story doesn't end. Maybe. Maybe not. I can write an ending for it. Tell you what, there's a huge demand for some. I'm tired. I don't think too many people have pulled off abstract universes like that. But this one is grounded in reality. So it actually makes it a little easier for me. Yeah. Because a lot of stuff that's going on, and there is a. So, anyway, that's all for my rant this morning. I don't know. We'll see when I do this lecture about the Arcturians. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm also, like I said, I found some places, contests for short stories. There's a method to my madness. Yes, there are contests out there for people that can write short stories, and I'm thinking about entering a few of them. Some of them pay real good money. Like I said, there is a void in creative projects right now all across the board. So there's going to be a huge demand for people who can write original, creative shit, not hijacking IPs and this diverse bullshit that they're fucking producing anymore. Look at Lord of the Rings season 2. It's a fucking joke. At this point, they're just into money laundering. They're into money laundering and trying to normalize child grooming. Period. That's all the fucking Luciferians care about. Humping little boys and keeping their bank accounts full so they can have their armed security around them 24/7. These fucking people can't even walk down the street without being harassed. Look at Kamala. She showed up for a speech yesterday outside CNN or interview. She was met with Trump protesters. Nobody accepts these fucking people anymore. Anyway. All right, that's all from my. Any questions or comments? Leave them below if you could support the channel. All the links are in the description. Yeah, I have some theories about the Arcturians, and I'm not even gonna, like I said, I don't need to talk about channel messages. It's not something I will do or get into, or all right, that's all I'm going to say for now. Any questions or comments? Leave them below. God bless and take care.